Right, so we just discussed the general features of the data deluge. Now we come to the data science process itself, and we've already effectively mentioned this, that we have a process. Data becomes information, becomes knowledge, and knowledge becomes wisdom or decisions. Note as there are various features of this process. We have incredible amounts of data. Often the wisdom or decisions are actually small amounts of data, small numbers of bytes or bits. So as often as we go down this pipeline from data to wisdom, the volume of bits goes down. Another important feature is it often impacts more and more people. When you have a data deluge, that translates, say, into a policy by the government. That government impacts that government policy impacts the entire country. And so that's another feature. The community gets involved when we get down to wisdom or decisions, because the community has to endorse the wisdom. And we get the decision that who somebody has become president. That is a decision by the community. We make some physics decision that the Higgs boson has been discovered. That is a physics community decision based on inspection of the data to knowledge pipeline established by the different experiments at the Large Hadron Collider. This pipeline is illustrated here on this figure I drew a long time ago, which actually has the raw data to information to knowledge to wisdom decisions pipeline. It has around the top, the left, and the bottom sources of data. Aircraft, that's aircraft engines, we'll see is an important source of data. Sensors, and also smartphones, telescopes, satellites, bioinformatics instruments, um, webcams, and another very important source of data is the actual computers and storage systems which store existing data, because they're going to run programs which produce more data. So an important source of data is other data. And that's in fact the whole feature of the pipeline. The pipeline is data to data prime to data double prime to information prime to information double prime. So here's an example of this pipeline for a simple case. We are familiar with Google Maps or Microsoft Maps and navigation. Then the maps come sort of originally built out from data. Those data come from satellites, which will be the nice overlays that you can put onto maps. The street cams that tell you what's going on. The USGS, that is effectively information. And that map data is presented, you could say, as information by the Google Maps webpage. When do we get knowledge? Well, you will then press the button saying, present me the route from position A to position B. That's knowledge, that route. Then we come to a decision that we will then decide based on different routings that have been presented to you, what you're going to do. That's your decision. So we see in this simple case how we go from raw data through decisions. Note the actual routing algorithm is pretty non-trivial to actually decide what the optimal route is, and quite difficult.